Nominate a chair tempore.
So we need a temporary chair.
I nominate Stan Klotz.
Second.
Motion made second to nominate myself as temporary chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to the office of president, board. Randy Glingel's been here quite a few years. He's volunteered to take the presidency. Along with that goes the appointment to the KRBC to attend all their meetings. So unless somebody else got a different, and I told him what I'd do, I'd cover the 2 meetings he's gone for him until he gets back, and then he would take over. So it takes a little work off of us, to be honest with you, having somebody else do it. So I would make the motion to make Randy the president, myself the vice president, so I can cover for him. And plus that, I would also like to have a motion that if he can't get into the building, would give me authority to sign on his behalf. So if Craig's got something he'd sign urgently, he could call me if Randy's tied up.
I'll make that motion, or I'll second that motion.
Oh, actually, I just made the motion, didn't I? Okay, motion is made.
Can you make the motion?
He made the motion.
Can I make the motion?
Well, you're the acting chair, right?
Yeah, I can't make the motion?
I don't think there's anything that prevents him from making a motion.
Go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make the motion that Randy be the president and Stan be vice president, and in Randy's absence, Stan can sign for him.
Second.
Motion made second for Randy Glingel to be board president, myself will be vice president, and in the case of Randy's unavailable, I could also sign on his behalf if Craig needs anything signed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You drainage board secretary, Angie? Angie's the existing drainage board secretary. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion and be the secretary.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made second to keep Angie as board secretary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I skipped the drainage attorney. Do I have a motion for that?
I'm assuming, I'd like to nominate Mr. Cerisi if he's willing to serve.
It's normally what we've done.
Yep.
I'll second.
Motion been made to make Sean Cerisi the board attorney, drainage board attorney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Come on up, Sean. You're on the end. Board appointments. You gotta help me with some of these. Do we have a list here someplace, Angie?
I gave you a list.
She has it where you can fill them in as you go.
Where's,
This one here.
where's,
Just keep going.
okay. Oh,
Do we have any information about when these boards currently meet?
the Marshall Stark meets, and usually it's 2 of us. I've been on that the last few years. Am I missing one? Oh.
There you go.
Is this here? Okay. Okay. You can tell better. There's a Marshall Stark Joint Drainage Board, has 2 of us. There's a Marshall Pulaski Stark, has 1 representative. And there's a 4-county board. Basically, I think, because you got this broke, oh, there's Fulton Marshall. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Stark Marshall. Pascasco Marshall Joint Board. Who was Sechrist? Was that our appointment or what?
She's got it on that first page, who the past members were,
Okay,
I believe.
okay. And there's a Yellow River Board, which generally, is that same as Kankakee? Is that what we're talking about?
No, that's
Different?
the
KRBC.
old, that's the old board. Well, we should still probably have a member on there since there's still funds.
What was Randy on last year? What was you on, Dave? Do you remember?
I don't think Dave was on any of these.
He was on the Kankakee, or, sorry, Kosciuszko Marshall Joint.
Randy was?
No, Salta, but yes, Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, I was,
Dave was on that Sechrist
Yeah.
board you were looking at.
Okay.
yeah.
I was one on the Marshall Stark. And
Yeah,
it was Mike Burrows last year. I think he was also on the, was he on the 4 County? Or was he on the Marshall Stark Pulaski board? He was on one of them. wasn't he?
He was on the Stark Marshall and the 4 County.
That's what I thought. Who wants to join me on the Marshall Stark? Usually we meet here right with Craig over, and it takes,
I'll take that one.
okay.
Actually, why don't you let me have that one? It's a shorter drive from me.
It's up here.
No, it's in they're in Knox. They're in
It's in
Knox.
Knox?
We meet here and go from here.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Okay.
You went to Marshall Pulaski Stark? Where do they meet at? They meet in Knox also?
Yes.
Well,
Huh?
that's gonna be down that corner of the county anyway.
I'll take that one too.
Okay.
Yep.
You went to 4 County? Adam? That's gonna be more in this area.
Yeah, let's do the 4 County.
Okay.
And Fulton Marshall?
I'll be on that.
Go ahead, Dave. And the volunteers?
Do you want that one too, Jesse? That was your predecessor.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And then,
You were on the Coscaso Marshall Joint Board last year. You okay with that still, Dave?
Yeah,
Okay. Somebody want to do that, or if not, I'll take it, unless you guys want it. What do you guys want it?
Kosciuszko.
Coscaso Marshall. I don't know, I never heard of that meeting.
We haven't met since I've been in office.
Yeah.
You want? I'll take it.
This year you're gonna be 6 times.
Yeah, watch.
Yellow River. Does that one meet anymore?
There's still money in that fund, so we should have a rep.
Okay.
That looks like your neighborhood, Stan.
Yeah, I'll take it. Since I only got one of the others. So we have Stan and Jesse, the Stark Marshall. We have Jesse with the Marshall Pulaski Stark Joint Board. We have Adam with the Marshall Stark St. Joseph LaPorte 4 County Board. We have Fulton Marshall, which would be Dave and Jesse. We have Kosciuszko Marshall Joint Board, which is Dave and Adam. And myself with the Yellow River, Marshall St. Joseph Elkhart Joint Yellow River Board. What's this here? Marshall Fulton Board.
That board was just formed last year, so I don't expect much activity, but I would say let's put 2 on there.
Dave was on it last year.
Dave, you okay with that again?
yep.
Okay, anybody else want this other? And do you always notify everybody when these board meetings come up, Angie?
I
Do they
do.
notify you? Okay. Anybody else want that other one?
I can take it.
I was gonna say, I'll jump on it if you,
No, I'll take it.
And I think, do we still have that board over, remember, we had the meetings over at, that one went through St. Joe, that ditch, they went back to a private.
Oh,
Do we need to point it like that? Okay. Okay. Then that's what we have, and then following up, would be the Marshall Fulton Joint Board would be Dave and Jesse. Any additions to them? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the Joint Drainage Board appointees as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. What else we have here?
Development Commission.
We got the Garrett Tharp variance on the Emma Mishler Ditch, Sauber Pine Creek watershed.
Is,
Even though the commissioners put Randy on the tech, you might want to just mention it in this meeting, tech for the Kankakee.
for the Kankakee,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
KRBC?
Yes, yes, and I think Randy Glingel as president will be on the KRBC. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. I think that automatically goes with the board, this president of the board usually does that, don't they?
Yes.
Okay, I just skipped it because I thought that was the case. Okay. And next we have the Garrett Tharp variance on the Emma Mishler Ditch, Sauber Pine Creek watershed. Who's up here to represent that? Come on up, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Garrett Tharp. Address is 901 Ferndale Street.
Craig?
Mr. Tharp is preparing to build a new house out on Quince Road, and the septic system, the Frisbee mound system, will be constructed within the 75-foot drainage easement. So the visual we're looking at right now, the blue is the ditch, the red line is the 75-foot drainage easement, which is measured from top of bank, and I've highlighted the yellow lines, the yellow numbers, to show how much into the easement the project would be. So I just kind of rounded it, that southernmost one was 67.7, let's just say 68 feet. This is another visual showing the proposed location of the mound system, the proposed house, 68 feet. You can see we still have plenty of room to conduct maintenance on this side. Just on a side note, the Emma Mishler ditch is not on collection, so we don't currently conduct maintenance on this ditch. The other thing that Mr. Tharp brought to my attention, well, let's run this video real quick, Angie. This is the site. The two flags are the eastern edge of the Frisbee, and we're just panning towards the ditch. You can see we have plenty of room to do work once that mound has been constructed. The other item we need to discuss is he would propose a stone driveway along the western side of the Emma Mishler ditch, and he is asking for permission to construct this driveway, which I don't see any problems, but if we do happen to do work and the driveway is damaged, the drainage board will not be held liable.
For the sake of two new members, whenever we issue a variance like that, we usually put something in the variance that says that if there's damage down the road, whatever happens 20 years from now, it's on the property owner, that we do not take responsibility for any, whether it's the driveway or if somebody gets in there and does some work and gets up on that mound, it's on the property owner.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Garrett?
No, I think you covered it all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is that two different items or just one?
We need to put in,
Motions?
we need to do both items. The variance of 68 feet for the construction of the mound system and a variance for the construction of the driveway within the drainage easement.
Does the board have any discussion, questions for Mr. Garrett? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to give the variance for the septic system.
For down to 68 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Dave, seconded by Jesse, to approve the variance down to 68 feet. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have let me back up. I just said, can we adjust your that the burden's on him? I just said it and I forgot it in the motion. We need to get it in the motion that the burden's on him if there's ever damage down the road done.
You want that in
Yeah,
the same motion?
yeah, if we could,
Okay.
please. Is that okay, Angie?
I'll add to that any damage to the system will be on the owner.
Yeah.
And I will still second that motion.
We'll go ahead and vote on the addition to the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Now for the driveway. You want to tell us a bit more about that, Craig? So,
we're showing here on the visual the proposed stone driveway. It's going to be well within the drainage easement. We probably, if we have to, we could work on the other side, but if we do have to work on this side, on the west side with our excavators and trucks and dozers, if we do damage to it and doing maintenance on the ditch, that the drainage board would not be liable for any damage done to the driveway.
Is this going to be a stone driveway, Mr. Garrett?
Yes, it's actually a current driveway right now.
Okay.
Must have been grandfathered in because it's been in my family for 50 years, the property. So that's why the plan was to go up like that and then cut over to the house to just try to use the existing. So completely understandable that the liability will be on me, so.
All right, so I'll move to approve the variance for the driveway, including the understanding that any damage that might be incurred during future repairs would be the responsibility of the homeowner.
Second that?
Motion made by Jesse, seconded by Adam, to approve the driveway with the understanding that any future, if there should be damage to the driveway, is on the landowner. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Garrett.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next, we have Stephen Miller, fence variance of the Harley Brock ditch. Mr. Miller, come on up.
Okay.
Go ahead and sit down. Would you please state your name and address for the record, too, which we have in the minutes?
Steve Miller, address is 7781 Elm Road, Bourbon, Indiana, 46504.
Thank you. Craig?
Okay, this case is continued from November. Mr. Miller owns property on both the east and west sides of Elm Road. The east side is what we're concerned with today. It's the highlighted portion. You can see in the pink highlight the vicinity where he had a fence constructed on the north bank of the Harley Brock ditch. The drainage board was not notified of this construction. This is a picture of Mr. Miller's fence along the east side of Elm Road. And this is a picture of the fence along the north side of the ditch. As you can see, there's no room there to conduct maintenance. The drainage board ruled to remove the fence and to come back at a later date and ask for a variance for the construction. This visual here, I just included, this is a project that we're currently working on the Dossman ditch. Granted, this ditch is much bigger than the Brock ditch, but you can see the spoil is probably 3 to 4 feet in depth, and from the top of bank to the edge of spoil right now is probably 40 feet. And once they spread this, it'll be well into the 50-foot range to get this leveled. Mr. Miller, go ahead.
And I did take the fence out. Do you have a picture of what it looks like today?
I do not, but the fence has been removed.
Yeah, fence was
So when
removed
you
right away.
asked me to take out the fence in November, I did it the next day. It took me a couple hours. And I said that if you need access, I can remove my fence, and that's what I did. So I guess my question is, do you need access 24/7? I mean, really? If I can take my fence out in an hour, is that not good enough? That's just a question, I guess. So, and I have access on the other side of the ditch that I'm not going to do anything with. So I'd like to put my fence back where I had it. That's what I'd like to do, but I've been living there for 26 years, and I have not, and I was when I called the first time, they said, if I put a fence there, I may be required to move it. That's what I was told. And I knew this. That's why I didn't run my wooden fence down there, I just had a little wire fence there that I could quickly take out. And you drive around the county, and everybody knows they have to move their fence if the ditch needs to be cleaned, and it's confusing, I guess. I'm not following the necessity of 24/7 access if I got to give up quite a bit of my pasture there, and I guess it's frustrating.
Anything else you want to add, Craig?
I will say that I did a little bit of research, and the last time a case like this was presented to the board was a Mattingly ditch south of Lake of the Woods, and the board reduced the easement to 50 feet.
It's kind of been our policy, not go less than that. We have, only in rare extreme circumstances. And the idea to address what Mr. Miller's asking is the fact that everything we do sets a precedent for the next guy. And we have just never, and the property could be sold, who knows, someday,
Right.
20 years down the road. So now you've got an issue where the new guy doesn't want to take down his fence because, he bought it that way. And so it's always been the board, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig or Dave, you guys have been here, to keep the setbacks in place. We've always, a lot of times, shortened them to try to help the landowner, but we've never went back to where there wasn't no setback and you just take it down if there's work to be done on the ditch. That's been the practice in the past. So, you guys have any questions for Mr. Miller?
Just for clarification. Do you own the property on the other side of the ditch, sir?
Well, if you look at the line, the outline, you see that the property it gets that corner. See what I'm saying? So that's inaccessible to me. I'm not doing anything with that. The farmer farms that. So there's access on the other side. And another question I would have before you make any motions, what happens if the fence just comes straight on up to the edge of the ditch and I put a gate there so that you can get through there?
Wouldn't you still have the fence along the ditch where the spoils?
If
we
I
ever
would
find-
do something, it would be a very temporary little electric fence or something just to keep the horses out of the ditch.
Any questions by the board? Sean, if I'm not mistaken, we are well within our rights at the 50-foot, correct? Basically, that's under precedence, and
I think you've got freedom to, vary however much you'd like, but certainly, yeah.
okay.
So I was told 40 feet last meeting.
Well, there's a lot of things talked about last meeting, Mr. Miller, and he said 50 feet's been our precedence. For me, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I'm not willing to go less than 50 feet. So, whatever you was told, I'm not sure who told you what, but I remember we had a discussion about different things.
Well, Craig, didn't you say 40 feet? I understood it was 40 feet.
Did I say 40 feet? I said you could ask for whatever, you can ask
So I
for,
asked for 30 feet.
you can ask for whatever you like, yes.
I asked for 30 feet and because I thought it was 40 was the normal. That's what I was.
40 feet was discussed at the last meeting.
Yeah, it was discussed. I remember it was brought up. That number was brought up.
And just for background, the standard ordinance is 70, is that correct?
75.
75, so we're given a 25-foot
We give them 25 foot extra,
variance.
yes.
Yeah. And obviously, there are many, many people around the county who are abiding by that ordinance, correct?
Well, most are. I'm sure there's a few that aren't, but yeah,
Yeah.
until
I guess I
they're
struggle with that. I
until they're
don't-
brought in.
I don't see that.
Okay,
when
for
I
my
drive the countryside, but-
I'm sorry, for my clarification, that means 75 foot each side of a ditch. So you have 150 foot right away total on both sides. Okay.
So that's an easement.
Yeah.
That means in the event that you'll need access to it, I will provide access.
Well, I don't know that I want to set a precedent at my first meeting, so I will make the motion to extend a 25-foot variance
The 75 foot variance.
to
Yeah.
give them a
Yeah,
variance of
yeah.
25 feet from 75 to 50.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Motion made second to extend the variance from Mr. Miller from 75 to 50 feet All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So again, the question about the gate issue, is that an option?
Well, you can put a gate in, that's up to you, but it's still 50 feet setback.
You mean, so if I bring my fence up to the ditch and have a gate there so you have access, how does that work?
You could only bring the fence to within 50
50
feet
feet.
of the ditch, is what was approved.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, thank you very much. Robert Gu, Emma Kuntz. Okay.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Robert Gu, 4152 West Shore Drive, Bremen.
Thank you.
46506.
Go ahead, Craig.
What we're looking at here is, you can see Mr. Gu's property is highlighted in green. The Emma Kuntz ditch, county ditch that outlets into Lake of the Woods was just recently cleaned by the Drainage Board. You can see we have a 24-inch metal pipe, origin unknown, that outlets from the ditch into the channel next to Mr. Gu's property. We also have a 48-inch metal pipe, origin unknown, that outlets from the ditch into the channel north of Mr. Gu's property. This is the Emma Kuntz ditch from the road looking towards the lake. Another view just after we cleaned it. This view is the tractor over there, I believe is Mr. Gu's tractor. We are looking towards his property. We see his channel at the top of the page, and we see the 24-inch pipe that comes from the Emma Kuntz ditch and outlets into his channel. This is the Emma Kuntz ditch, 48-inch pipe on the north side that outlets into the channel to the north. And this is a picture of where the 24-inch outlets into the channel next to Mr. Gu's property and the sediment that he is concerned with that's accumulated in the channel. Mr. Gu, I'll let you take it from there.
All right, gentlemen, I've only been in Marshall County for 3 years, so I'm kind of new to this, and I apologize for missing the meeting that you guys began on the books in November. I'm not sure how I did that. That picture right there is a great picture. 3 years ago when I brought the property, none of the vegetation that you can see on the right hand of that screen was actually there. I've managed to see vegetation grow in about 2 foot. I went out to try to handle some upkeep on my property, and I stepped off about 1.5 feet into the canal. I sunk 3 foot. I was unaware how shallow it was when I bought the property. I made an offer in September, and I took possession in the first week of October, so it was quite drastic. After the dam got opened, and I could actually see what we were dealing with, it's gotten worse. This past fall, it was nothing but mud all the way out 20, 25 feet. And even this morning, if I would have took a picture with my phone to show you guys what's going on, there's 2 docks on my property. There's a small John boat fishing dock right next to my neighbor. And the water from the canal that comes in meets the water that keeps coming in from this ditch. It never freezes, keeps filling up, all kinds of stuff comes through. You can actually come out and watch the sand and the sediment roll through. You can see a nice little kind of, it reminds me of watching Gold Rush. When you see the gold in the pan, right? That's what it looks like with the sand. But I have 2 inches of water in there right now. And not really sure how to handle it, except for I'm not supposed to have a settlement problem at the end of a canal with a culvert that's installed backwards. It doesn't actually drain from the canal to the ditch out to the lake. Drains from the ditch into the canal. And that water flow meets the water coming in from the lake to the canal, and it meets it right at my small dock. I've got literally 50, 60 foot just filling up. And if the culvert wasn't there, it wouldn't be filling up with sediment from the fields. I don't know when it was put in. I inherited the problem. I just want to fix it. And I wouldn't have known about the problem except for in October it was brought up and I heard that it wasn't you guys' culverts. I always assumed it was put in by the county. And I found out it wasn't. So now I'm asking for help, guys. I need help getting it cleaned out. I don't know if it has to be drastic, but 3 or 4 more years from now, may not even have a canal back there. Might be all grown over with vegetation, and I don't know how that helps anybody. And the problem we got out at the lake starts with the canals. It's kind of putting the cart in front of the horse, it seems like, with everything that's gone on out there, but I shouldn't have to deal with 4 or 5 foot of quicksand in a canal. So I'm just asking for help, and I don't know what help you guys can be, but I thought I would come in, show you guys what I'm dealing with, and ask you to please assist me in getting it cleaned out. That's what I got.
Craig, I would ask, do we know where this culvert goes to by any chance? Do you have any ideas, any guesses? Because if that's a private, we can't touch that, right?
The 2 culverts that we're looking at here, I've researched our files, I've asked Mr. Gu, I've asked neighbors in the neighborhood, and no one knows the origin of the pipes. At one of the meetings before, a representative from Lake of the Woods thought that these were put in to help the water flow through the channels out into the lake, that they were to help the channels. I don't know that to be a fact, but I would argue that when the water comes from the fields in the ditch as it crosses the road and it's working its way towards the lake, it's hitting 3 outlets. It's hitting the 48-inch, the 24-inch, and it's trying to make its way out to the lake. I'm saying that if those pipes weren't in, we'd have more flow and it would carry that sediment out into the lake. So I'm actually saying those 2 pipes are kind of a restriction to our ditch. As far as getting them removed, I don't know what to say about this since they're private crossings.
It's always my
But
understanding.
they don't benefit the ditch. I don't see how they benefit the county ditch at all.
Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, it was always my understanding, we cannot touch anything private.
Not without the permission of the property owners, and I don't know what the purpose of, if it's not going to benefit the ditch, why the board would, want to engage in that. Is it clear who the ownership is of these strips of land that the pipes are on, or?
Might have that picture you're looking at, that pipe ends up on my land, goes underneath the neighbor that sits in front of me on the point. And Ernie owns the other side of it with the bigger culvert, which is the pink house on the other side. You got 2 shots of
Okay.
going one way and going the other. There is one person in front of me that owns the land going out to the lake on the point. But that culvert comes in on my property.
So at a minimum, we could probably cap it on his end.
Aren't there like shields or something out there that people have attempted to close them off?
Guys, I've asked for 3 years to try to figure out what they're trying to do, what works and doesn't work. And honestly, I'm gonna be there for 20 years. So I'm not big on going around people. I'm not big on causing problems. I just like things to make sense. There's all kinds of stuff that they're doing out there. Doesn't make sense to me that used to be 6 to 8 foot deep and it's now 2 inches deep. Doesn't make sense. I gotta tie myself off to a tree to step out in the canal without sinking. And I've done a lot of wading in my day. It's all I can really relate it to, right? Trying not to step in a pothole in the middle of a river, and I've got nothing. I mean, even the guys that are trying to set up a conservancy didn't understand how bad my situation was. and literally all this snow and all this rain, you're lucky to see any water. So this is my first experience with you guys. I don't really know what you can or can't do. I just know it shouldn't all be on me because of the culvert. Where the responsibility lies, my problem doesn't get fixed unless that gets cut off. And I still have a big problem once you guys seal that, right? I've got to hope that the water from the lake comes all the way back into the canal. The problem I got is they meet at my neighbor's property about 5 foot in. You got flow coming one way, you got flow coming the other. And the only area that I have that's dug out is from my little 2-stroke engine that does what he can do, right? Digging a hole for me in the dirt. That's all we got. Right now, it's just totally filled. And unless we can figure out some way to dig it up, to make it go away, if the culvert's closed off and it gets dug out a couple feet, I can use the lake. I could actually fish on a lake, and I'm getting taxed to be on a lake. Just can't get to it 7 months out of the year because of shallowness. Can't do much with DNR because they don't want to kill the beautiful stuff growing and mess with it, right? I feel like I'm double-edged sword. So I thought I'd come in and ask for help. And I don't know what kind of help that is. You guys deal with this all the time. I'm new to it. So I feel like it was a problem caused, but if it's on a manageable ditch, somebody has to hold responsibility for the damage it caused to the property. And if it would have been the person before me, I'd have thought they would have said something. They knew the problem. They lied to me when I bought it. She told me it's 5 foot deep. I couldn't tell any difference without casting out to find out. But of course, you don't do that in the hottest market. You make your offer, you go on, you get your house, and you deal with your situation. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I definitely would like your help. Whatever way you guys think you can help me.
Marv, you had your hand up, because I know you own property up that ditch.
Yep.
Do you know anything about this?
Can I approach?
Yeah, please, come on up. State your name and address, Marv.
Marvin Huyen, I'm 7563 Plymouth Ocean Trail, Bremen, Indiana. I own the farmland that goes into this Emma Kunz ditch. And I understand their dilemma here. The question I got that you guys has not been discussed yet is similar to the one that was just up here. If there's something in the right-of-way, the drainage 75-foot easement, you have the authority, I believe, to remove it. Am I wrong with that? So if you have the authority to remove a fence, don't you have the authority to remove a culvert?
I think my understanding of the 75-foot easement is that the purpose of that easement is to cross over the land to provide access to the ditch, not to necessarily to be excavating for other purposes. I mean, I think that's, every easement is limited to whatever specific purpose it was granted to this holder of the easement, and I think that's basically the scope of drainage easements are to serve the
Well,
ditch maintenance. But
I agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying, Mr. Cerisi. However, I listened to what Craig said. This is not an attribute to help the ditch. It's actually an obstruction. So if this culvert was a tree, it'd be out of there. Am I wrong? So I have no, I really feel like Craig, we spent a bunch of money to clean that, and all we're doing is slowing the water down and not letting the channel keep cleaning itself, like a silt trap keeps cleaning itself. These are slowing the water down instead of letting it maintain its speed. So as a farmer, I don't have a problem with, and you guys make the decision what you want to do. I don't know who the property owners are. I do know these channels were put in back in the 60s. I mean, I was like 15 years old when they put them in. But cannot those, I don't know what it costs to remove a culvert or to remove half a culvert or whatever. I'm assuming those culverts were put in for the driveways for the properties going back. Because they would provide, I don't think they,
That would make sense. There's only one entrance to that property in front of me that sits on the lake. That's a driveway easement that runs next to that ditch.
and the same on the other side.
Yeah.
So if those were put in for a drive access, I have to maintain my culvert in my field to cross a ditch. I pay for all the expenses and everything. I don't know, you might go back to their deeds. I'm just trying to resolve an issue here. But it is a culvert within your variance, or your easement, I'm sorry.
You could go all the way to the other side of my neighbor's house on a 75-foot easement. You'd be 2 houses into the canal. There's no more than 15 foot from the ditch to the water with that driveway. I cut 3 foot of it on both sides. And I have since I moved in, but I see Fox doing all the rest of it. And right now it's Grandma's house. So son-in-law's been taking care of it. I know what I know. They've been there forever. But they don't seem to understand who put those culverts in either, even though they were there when they were put in, right? I've asked around.
Yeah. So what it looks like from this drawing here is that the majority of this culvert is passing through the property owner here that's basically in the center of the picture here. It's passing through their property.
You see where that little house out there that comes out to the water, to the lake?
Yeah. Mhm.
That is their property. They own everything around that, right?
It looks like they've got 2 houses on this, or is that a garage?
No, that's like a shed or something that they've got. Just a little small house out there in that point. So they own everything back up to the road, but that's how they had to run their sewer, from that house out to the road for the district. And they're responsible to take it all the way out, but that culvert runs under their driveway. There's been also a metal dock that was part of my property at some point cut off right there at the culvert. There's all kinds of stuff down in that end of the canal, actually. But the biggest thing is silt.
I guess my question, Craig, is, being at the channel, we've dealt with, basically, a DNR won't let us touch anything, so with that culvert going in the channel, I mean, what would be the DNR's position on that?
I don't know what the DNR's position would be, but I know the drainage code, if the drainage board believes that this is an obstruction to the county ditch, the drainage board has the authority to either remove the obstruction or, in this case, cap it off, because it is an obstruction to the flow of the ditch. If that's what the board believes, I believe we do have that authority. I would defer to Mr. Cerisi to make sure, though.
I would agree that you'd have the authority to do that if you'd like, yeah.
So I think I'd like to make a motion that we either cap it off or remove these because it's pretty obvious that they're doing more harm than good.
Do we have the money in that fund to take care of this?
Thank you, sir.
Would the fund of that ditch cover this?
To cap it off or I would recommend trying to cap it off
Yeah.
first.
Maybe we get somebody to look at it and see what it's
Yep.
gonna cost and then
We
bring
do.
it back.
We do have the funds.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes the most sense to try the most cost-effective option first, and then if something additional needs to be done, we can come back and look at that later, right?
Would you be comfortable with that motion, Dave?
Yep.
Just to have it looked at and then bring it back to the next meeting and give us some ideas, costs and
Right.
stuff, what our options would be?
Yeah.
How good is the material on those culverts?
You what?
Are those culverts pretty old and rusty?
Mine's rusted, I'll tell you that.
No idea.
And that's why I suggested capping it first, because if we dig into that, try to remove it, the engineering cost to rebuild that back up to a usable driveway
Yeah.
could be substantial if that culvert's junk.
Guys, if I could get 2 foot of usable canal, right? I could manage it for the next 20 years. I agree with you guys on filling that culvert. About the only thing that makes sense. I've seen it rusted out. That's why so much shit gets through it.
Yeah.
And it's directly under their driveway, and it's pretty deep, because that culvert still sitting and getting a full flow, even after you guys had Allsop come in and dig out the ditch next to it. The other one on the other side, not so much. The bigger one, believe it or not, it's higher up. That one's a lot deeper on my side.
Okay.
So if we're gonna deal with the one on his side, do we wanna do both of them?
Well, I would say we get options while we're having somebody
Yeah.
look at both of them. So I got a motion from Dave to go
I'll
ahead
second.
and get somebody in to look at it, give us some options, give us some prices,
I'll second that.
and bring it back to us. Motion been made by Dave, seconded by Jesse. We'll have give Craig the authority to do that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's not much, but it's a start.
And thank you for looking into it.
Yep.
I appreciate your help.
We'll see what happens. Thank you. Next, we have a list of the drains, non-active, to be active and non-active for next year, or for this year, I'm assuming.
Yes.
On the list here. You want to give Jesse and Matt a little update so they know what, what
Of course, the drains that you see on the list, each of them has a annual assessment. Once that watershed reaches 4 times that annual assessment, we can shut off the collection. Unless we know we have some work coming up, or we're actually working on that ditch, we'll go ahead and turn off the collection. Then once we start working again and the amount falls below that 4 times amount, then we'll turn it back on again. So what you see here are watersheds that are below the 4-year, and we're going to keep them turned on to keep on collecting funds.
Now, for my information, real quick, Craig, do the property owners get notifications when when it's getting turned on or turned off? It just shows up on their tax bill, correct?
Shows up, yep.
Okay.
And we need a motion on this?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to approve them. You have any discussion, any questions for Craig?
I'll make the motion to approve the roster here on, for both non-collection and active collection for 2025.
Second that.
Motion been made to approve both non-collection and collection roster that's been presented to us. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We got the Allen Young petition for maintenance on the Gall Unsicker.
Mr. Young brought a petition to our office with some signatures, wanting to raise the assessment in the shed so we can do more work. That this shed struggles to keep a decent balance. And you can see it involves Marshall and Kosciuszko County. So if you accept this petition, we'll get to work and put a report together. We'll have to form a joint board, and we'll bring it back to you, and you will decide then whether or not to have a public hearing. We'll bring the folks in, decide how much we want to raise the assessment, and then the board will ultimately make the decision on whether or not to raise the amount. But as for right now, just accept the petition, and this is quite a lengthy process, but we'll get to work on it.
So it's a motion to accept the petition and to initiate the process, basically?
Exactly.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Jesse and seconded by Adam to,
You have to sign to the petition. Everybody signs it.
everybody signs it? Okay. To accept the petitions and start the process looking at this. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have, I believe, the minutes of the November 18th meeting. And I believe you two weren't here. Dave, you want to make a motion? You comfortable with it?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second it. Motion been made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any other business? Any board members got any business? Anything on your minds? Excuse me. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none? I guess I have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Excuse me. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.